To truly make sense of the Blood, Sweat, and Tears music video, we first need to establish a core principle. All 7 members embody a single person on a journey toward maturity. Jin is that person, while the other members represent the internal emotions and struggles raging inside him.
In this shot, Jin stands frozen, gazing intently at the painting The Fall of the Rebel Angels. Choosing this specific artwork right at the start is an early signal that the story centers on the loss of innocence and the descent into temptation. Notice where the painting is placed, framed directly in the center between 2 arched doors, one white, one black. The white door represents innocence and childhood, a safe world shielded from challenges and temptations. The black door represents maturity and the harsh realities of life, complete with all its responsibilities and temptations. Jin contemplating this exact painting while standing in the space between the 2 doors captures the ultimate moment of realization before crossing over. It's as if he is coming to terms with the fact that leaving the safety of innocence behind to enter the real world is a step that will alter the very fabric of his soul forever.
Now that we understand Jin's role, the remaining members are split into duos to act out the scenes of the music video. The first pair we look at is Jungkook and Namjoon. Jungkook represents youth and naive curiosity. RM represents the part of our minds that makes excuses to try forbidden things, the mentor who glamorizes temptation and explains the secrets of this dark world. In the first shot, we see Namjoon sitting like a teacher, reading from a book and explaining things to Jungkook. Meanwhile, Jungkook listens closely, as if absorbing every word and becoming completely convinced. Next, we see Jungkook hanging upside down on a swing, holding a lollipop in his hand. The lollipop is his last remaining connection to childhood, but being upside down shows that he is beginning to lose his balance and is drawn toward the adult world. Then we see Namjoon pouring a green liquid into his glass, resembling absinthe, a drink historically associated with altered states of consciousness, becoming a symbol of numbing oneself and escaping reality. Namjoon drinking absinthe here symbolizes mental numbing that glosses over wrongdoings, reaching a state where the voice of conscience goes quiet, replaced by clever rationalizations that make temptation seem normal and acceptable. In the background, a phoenix appears, the mythical bird that burns to ashes only to be reborn. The symbolism here is clear. The old innocence is burning away, making way for a new persona to emerge. As Namjoon continues exhaling green smoke, representing the mind that rationalizes temptation and gives it legitimacy, we cut to Jungkook in a free fall, upside down in midair. Right behind him is the painting Lament for Icarus, the young man who flew too close to the sun out of reckless curiosity, melting his wings and causing him to fall. The exact match between Jungkook's posture and the painting instantly delivers the message. Recklessly giving in to curiosity and temptation always leads to a fall.
Moving on to the second duo, J-Hope and V. J-Hope represents the protector, or the conscience, trying to preserve the ideal world, morality, and innocence from going astray. V represents rebellion, the spirit seduced by temptation that chose to break away from this ideal world. We start with V sitting on the edge of a balcony in a highly dangerous position, yet he shows no fear of falling. On the contrary, he seems to be enjoying it, as if he chose this precise spot and danger himself. In contrast, we see J-Hope sitting in the middle of water, in front of the Pietà statue, holding a bow and arrow, looking ready to confront the situation. This brings up an obvious question. How is he protecting him by shooting arrows at him? In artistic symbolism, pain is sometimes the only way to prevent someone from falling into a greater sin. The arrow here is a desperate attempt by the conscience to wake V up and discipline him. When J-Hope shoots the arrow and hits V, bright splashes of colorful paint, rather than blood, burst onto his image. The colors represent the loud experiences and temptations V has already absorbed, to the point that the arrow changes nothing. J-Hope's attempt came too late. V's pure identity has already dissolved. His innocence is gone, and the damage is done. Then comes the revealing shot, showing that V fell off the balcony of his own free will, smiling and laughing as he plunged. J-Hope tried to strike him with an arrow to restrain him and keep him bound to the safety of the known world. But V sees falling as the only way to fly. To him, this fall is not a defeat, but a liberation, and he smiles because he is no longer afraid to break the rules. And that brings us to the conclusion. J-Hope was trying to save V's innocence, but V chose to rebel and jump into the unknown with a smile.
In the Suga and Jimin duo, we move to another angle of Jin's internal conflict, the point where frightened innocence collides with the sharp voice of conscience. Jimin embodies that side terrified of maturity and losing the safety of childhood, while Suga represents the strict awareness that refuses to live in delusions. The story begins with a brief shot early in the video. Suga tries to cover Jimin's eyes with his hand, but Jimin pushes it away in rejection. At that moment, Jimin was still living in the innocence of childhood, untouched by wrongdoing. He refused to be blinded, as if saying, "I am pure and unafraid. I have nothing to cover or hide from." Next, we move to the banquet scene, where the members sit in pure white garments facing the apple, the classic symbol of humanity's first sin. Just as they are about to partake, Jin looks up at the strange sky, sensing before anyone else that this paradise is nothing more than an illusion preceding the fall. And indeed, the fall happens, leading us to the blue room. Here, Suga and Jimin sit on a transparent glass floor, the clarity of the glass signaling that the lie is exposed and there is nowhere left to hide. We see the apple in Jimin's hand, showing that he has already tasted temptation and lost his original innocence. But the real issue wasn't taking a bite of the apple. It was Jimin lying to himself. Instead of accepting maturity, panic struck him, and he chose to lie, pretending he was still that innocent child who had never touched sin. This very struggle is the origin behind his solo track, Lie. At this moment, Suga grabs the black blindfold and covers Jimin's eyes. This time, Jimin doesn't push Suga's hand away. He surrenders and accepts it. Broken, he now fears opening his eyes and facing the truth of his mistake, preferring to hide in darkness rather than look at his tainted reality.
In the final scenes, we see Jimin trapped, with the blindfold covering his eyes tied to the doorknob. Why did Suga leave him in this state? Jimin is unable to accept reality and is in pain over losing his innocence, crying out, "Restore my pure self." Tying the blindfold to the door symbolizes his refusal to see the truth and step into maturity. Suga here represents the bitter truth. He leaves him trapped, as if to say, as long as you live in denial and refuse to face your reality, you will remain bound and will never see the light. The moment Jimin is bound inside the room, Suga plays the organ. Suga represents the guide of darkness and the harsh conscience driving the game. His playing here serves as the funeral march for childhood, announcing to everyone that purity has ended and the rituals are complete for them to wake up to reality. At that exact moment, the soft silk cover is pulled away from V. Those who were unaware thought V was an innocent angel, but stripping away the cover reveals him to be the fallen angel. His back, scarred where his wings were clipped, is the explicit declaration of temptation lurking in their midst. We see the members running joyfully out through the museum doors. They believe they are escaping toward freedom, but it is a blind, naive joy driving them straight toward sin. The only one who remains undeceived is Jin. Representing reason and consciousness, he stops, sensing that something is leading them astray. V notices Jin hesitating, so he approaches him and covers his eyes, forcing him to face the statue with black wings. This statue represents V's own mythical form after his wings were clipped. Jin kisses the statue, marking his total surrender to temptation. The moment the kiss happens, the statue begins to weep green tears, because the statue and V are one soul. The statue's tears are those of V, the tempter, who had previously consumed the green absinthe. He weeps from a single eye to express a profound contradiction. One eye grieves the destroyed purity, while the other takes pride in his success in dragging them all out of the illusion of childhood into the realm of adulthood. At that very moment, the members experience this collective shock. Jamin removes his blindfold after the lie of his innocence collapses, weeping green tears from a single eye. Jin follows suit, his eye also shedding green tears as his features begin to crack like marble statues. Weeping from only one eye embodies the divided self. One eye sheds tears of grief for a childhood and a sense of safety lost forever, while the other remains steady and tearless, staring directly into their new reality. This mirrors the legend of Odin, who sacrificed one of his eyes to gain ultimate wisdom, and even J-Hope, the guardian of innocence who held the bow, surrenders before his completely shattered statue as green smoke floods his hall. In the final scene, Jin stands before the mirror, gazing sorrowfully at the calla lilies, a symbol of the purity and innocence that slipped away, never to return, while Nietzsche's famous quote looms above the glass: "You must still have chaos in yourself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." This serves as the philosophical core of the entire story, that chaos, sin, and pain were not an ultimate destruction, but rather the dark, necessary labor pains required for them to be reborn as mature.
The song embodies the tragic moment of the fall from innocence, where the members are torn from the radiant idealism of childhood only to crash into the darkness of reality. They did not choose this fall through cold logic. Rather, they surrendered to the allure of desire and drowned in it, making their blood, sweat, and tears the price exacted from them in this state of being lost. This artistic interpretation is inspired by Hermann Hesse's novel Demian, which explores the conflict between light and dark. The work is not an invitation to make mistakes, but rather a comforting embrace for anyone who has fallen and stumbled, reassuring them that falling and regret are simply the cost of maturing and reaching one's true self. Yet, art remains an open space for your own interpretations. So, how did you read the journey?